The dust tickles my nose as I push aside another cardboard box in my parents' storage room. Mom's voice echoes from downstairs, reminding me to hurry up and find those old Christmas decorations. But something else catches my eye: an intricately carved wooden box tucked behind a stack of weathered moving boxes. My fingers trace the delicate engravings, following the swooping curves of carved flowers. The lid creaks as I open it, and my heart skips with anticipation. But instead of the expected trinkets and treasures, I find myself staring at meticulously organized photo albums and scrapbooks. The first album falls open to a page dominated by Sophia's high school graduation. Her perfect smile beams up at me as she clutches her valedictorian medal. The next page showcases Elena's piano recital, her fingers poised over ivory keys. I flip through more pages, my movements growing more frantic. Sophia's college acceptance, Elena's art competitions, their birthdays, their achievements, their celebrations. Not a single photo of me. My hands begin to shake as I grab another album, then another. Each one tells the same story, a carefully curated family history where I simply don't exist. The room suddenly feels too small, the air too thick. Last weekend's family gathering flashes through my mind. I'm back in the living room, chasing after Leo and Mia as they race between the furniture. "Annie, keep those children quiet." Mom's sharp voice cuts through the chaos. Meanwhile, Sophia holds court by the fireplace, describing her latest promotion while Elena nods along, both of them pristine and poised. Always the babysitter, never the star, Sophia had whispered when I passed her later, her tone dripping with false sympathy. But really, what else would you be good for? Another memory surfaces: Elena's 16th birthday party last spring. I'd spent hours helping Mom prepare, hanging streamers and arranging flowers. But when the guests arrived, Mom had strategically positioned the family photos on display. I watched her remove my dance competition certificate from the wall, replacing it with Elena's latest piano award. "We want to keep the focus on the birthday girl," she'd said, not meeting my eyes. The pattern stretches back years. At every family gathering, every holiday, every celebration, the same careful orchestration played out. My sister's wedding photos prominently displayed, while my art school acceptance letter gathered dust in a drawer. The family newsletter Mom sent out each Christmas, filled with updates about Sophia's career and Elena's performances, my own achievements reduced to a brief mention of helping around the house. My fingers brush against something at the bottom of the box, a stack of certificates and newspaper clippings. Each one chronicles another triumph. Sophia's academic awards, Elena's artistic achievements. Mom's neat handwriting labels every item, dates each milestone. I remember the day I won first place in the county art show. Mom didn't even come. "Someone needs to watch the little ones," she'd said, not meeting my eyes. I'd stood alone on that stage, clutching my ribbon, searching the crowd for a familiar face. A floorboard creaks behind me, and I whirl around to find Grandma Rose in the doorway. Her eyes move from my face to the scattered albums, and something shifts in her expression. She doesn't speak, but her gaze holds mine with an intensity that makes my throat tight. There's recognition there, and something elsey spark of defiance that mirrors the fire building in my chest. The box sits between us like an accusation. All these years I've tried to be the good daughter, the helpful sister, the reliable one. I've swallowed my words, buried my dreams, played my assigned role. But sitting here surrounded by the physical proof of my erasure, something inside me finally snaps. I stand up slowly, my legs unsteady. Through the dusty window, rain begins to speckle the glass, distorting the world outside. The house feels different now, like a museum dedicated to my own invisibility. Every family photo on the walls, every carefully arranged shelf, they're all part of the same story. A story where I'm nothing more than a footnote, a shadow in the background. My reflection catches in the window, barely visible among the raindrops. For the first time, I really look at myself. The paint-stained fingers, the uncertain smile, the spark of rebellion in my eyes that no one ever bothered to notice. I won't do this anymore. I whisper to my reflection, and the words feel like a match struck in the dark. The truth can't be ignored now. It sits in this box, in these albums, in every carefully curated memory that wrote me out of my own family's history. They'll regret making me invisible, because I'm done playing my part in their perfect family portrait. My hands shake as I lift the delicate envelope from the wooden box, its edges worn and yellowed with time. More documents spill out beneath it: financial records, letters, notes in Mom's precise handwriting. Each one feels like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. Asterisk the 15th of October. Removed A's art competition photo from living room display. Replaced with S's business award. Maintaining focus on real achievements. Asterisk the 3rd of December. Family newsletter draft. Lead with S's promotion. Include E's recital. A. Helping with holiday preparations. Keeping busy. Asterisk the 20th of January. Budget adjustment. Reallocate A's college fund to S's MBA program. More strategic investment. Asterisk. The words blur as tears threaten to spill. I blink them back, refusing to let them fall. Each page reveals another calculated move, another deliberate erasure. Momno Isabel documented everything with clinical precision, like a scientist recording a long-term experiment. Only I was never the scientist. I was the specimen. My throat tightens as I uncover more recent entries. Last month's family barbecue, where Sophia cornered me by the drinks table. Asterisk. Still playing with your little paintings, Annie? How? Quaint. Asterisk the notes show it wasn't just visual cruelty. She'd practiced that line, chosen that moment, coordinated with Mom to ensure maximum impact while the rest of the family celebrated her latest promotion. Another folder catches my eye, emails printed and meticulously filed. My stomach churns as I recognize Sophia's work address at the top. Their contents lay bare a deeper betrayal than I'd imagined. Mom, Annie's applying for the Hargrove Scholarship. Contacted admissions, reminded them about the incident with Dad's foundation. They'll ensure the application gets lost. S. Art Institute interview, scheduled my client meeting for the same day. Annie won't have a ride. She can't afford the bus fare since we redirected her savings. Perfect timing. S. FYI, mentioned Annie's emotional instability to Aunt Carol. Should help discredit any complaints about missing family funds. S. Each printed email reveals my sister as more than just Mom's puppet. She's an architect of my erasure. The family gathering where she mocked my hobby in front of potential clients. The scholarship applications that mysteriously vanished. The whispered concerns about my mental health whenever I tried to speak up. All carefully planned, documented, executed. A creak in the floorboard sends my heart racing. I look up to find Grandma Rose in the doorway, her eyes sharp despite her gentle demeanor. She moves into the room with purpose, settling into the old armchair like she's been waiting for this moment. Your mother kept everything, she says quietly. Every manipulation, every calculated slight. She's always been thorough, Isabel has. You knew? The words come out raw, accusatory. Grandma Rose's fingers trace the edge of a nearby photo album. She learned it from watching your grandfather, the way he controlled everything, everyone. When he passed, she stepped right into his shoes. She meets my gaze, but she perfected it, made it an art form. The air feels thick with dust and secrets as she describes the subtle signals, the choreographed conversations at every family gathering. How Isabel would position herself just so, ensure the right people heard the right whispers. How Sophia learned to echo her mother's techniques, becoming the perfect protege in the art of subtle destruction. The Christmas party last year, I whisper, a memory surfacing, when my art school acceptance letter was conveniently misplaced before the family photos. Grandma Rose's smile is sad. Nothing in this house is ever convenient, dear, or accidental. I turn back to the box, something catching my eye. A cream envelope, hidden beneath the others, my name written in Grandma Rose's elegant script. Inside, I find bank statements, contact information for art galleries, letters of recommendation written years ago and carefully preserved. I couldn't stop her, Grandma Rose says softly, but I could prepare for the day you'd see it all clearly. There are people waiting to help you, Annie. People who see your talent, who've been watching and waiting. My fingers brush against another papera torn diary page, stuffed hastily at the bottom of the box. The handwriting is unfamiliar, the signature faded, but a few phrases jump out. Asterisk, the truth about the inheritance. Asterisk and asterisk. Isabel's plan for the foundation. Asterisk. A chill runs down my spine as I read further. This goes beyond mere emotional manipulation. There's something darker here. Something that could shatter the careful facade Mom's built around our family name. Be careful with that, Grandma Rose warns, her voice dropping. If Isabel realizes you know about the diary, she leaves the threat unspoken, but I understand. The secret college fund, the network of supporters she's built for Mate, could all disappear with one word from Mom. I stare at the diary page, its edges crumbling slightly under my touch. One question burns in my mind, setting my heart racing. What other secrets are hidden in these walls? And how far will Mom go to keep them buried? The late afternoon sun slants through the dusty window, casting long shadows across the scattered evidence of my family's betrayal. In the distance, I hear Mom's voice calling up the stairs, cheerful and controlled as ever. But now I hear the steel beneath the sugar, the calculation behind every syllable. I carefully return everything to the box, except for the diary page, which I slip into my pocket. Its weight feels like a live coal against my leg, burning with possibility and danger. Grandma Rose watches me with knowing eyes. We both understand. The game has changed. And this time, I'm done playing by their rules. Mother's heels click against the marble floor as she sweeps through the dining room, her tailored blazer a shield of perfect composure. She pauses behind Sophia's chair, resting manicured fingers on my sister's shoulder. Have you heard about Sophia's promotion? Senior partner at only 28. The crystal chandelier catches the triumph in Mother's eyes as she surveys our gathered family. Her gaze slides past me like water over glass, settling instead on Elena's latest piano certificate propped on the sideboard. Annie. Mother's voice cuts through the murmur of conversation. The children need supervision in the playroom. I grip my fork tighter, the metal cool against my palm. I thought I might stay for dinner this time. Share some news about The children, Annie. Her tone brooks no argument. Beside her, Sophia's lips curl into a familiar smirk. The rage builds in my chest, a pressure that threatens to crack my ribs. Years of dismissal and careful orchestration flash through my Mendevory achievement buried, every dream redirected toward serving others' glory. The fork trembles in my grip. Number. The word drops like a stone into still water. Conversations halt. Mother's perfectly plucked eyebrows arch upward. I said no. I push back my chair and stand, my voice steady despite my thundering heart. I'm not watching the children tonight. I'm not playing the convenient babysitter anymore. Annie, Sophia interjects, her tone dripping false concern. Someone has to watch them. It's what you're good at, after all. The patronizing smile she wears is the same one from 1,000 memories the dance recital she convinced Mother to skip. The art show opening where my paintings were relegated to the back wall. The family photos where I was positioned just out of frame. What I'm good at? A laugh escapes me, sharp and unfamiliar. You wouldn't know what I'm good at. None of you would because you've never bothered to look. Mother's face hardens. That's enough. You're making a scene. A scene? The words taste like freedom. You want to talk about scenes, Mother? Let's talk about Elena's 16th birthday, when you took down my dance certificate to make room for her piano awards. Or last Christmas, when you edited me out of the family newsletter. Or maybe we should discuss the trust fund you've been hiding. Annie? Mother's voice cracks like a whip. That's quite enough. But it isn't enough. Not anymore. I turn to face the table of shocked relatives, my hands steady now. For years, I've watched you orchestrate this perfect family narrative. The brilliant Sophia, the talented Elena, and meth-convenient Shadow who keeps the machinery running. Well, I'm done. I'm done being your backdrop. Sophia stands, her composure slipping. You're being ridiculous. Jealousy doesn't suit you, little sister. Jealousy? I meet her gaze. I'm not jealous, Sophia. I'm awake. And I'm not the only one who sees through this charade, am I, Grandma Rose? Across the table, Grandma Rose's eyes meet mine. A slight nod, barely perceptible, sends strength flooding through my veins. In that moment, I see what I couldn't before I'm not alone in this fight. If you'll excuse me, I say, gathering my purse, I have a meeting with Marcus Lynn about my gallery showing next month. You remember Marcus, don't you, Mother? The curator you told me was wasting his time with my work? Mother's face pales. Sophia's perfect smile cracks at the edges. For the first time in years, I feel the power shift, subtle but undeniable. I walk out of the dining room, their shocked silence following me like a cloak. In the foyer, I catch my reflection in the gilded mirror paint-stained fingers, defiant eyes, shoulders straight with newfound purpose. The trembling girl who used to duck and weave around their expectations is gone. Outside, the evening air carries the scent of jasmine from Grandma Rose's garden. I breathe it in, letting the familiar fragrance steady me. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. Gallery space confirmed. Time to show them what you can do. A smile tugs at my lips as I slide into my car. They thought they could keep me small, contained, invisible. But they forgot one crucial detail: shadows have a way of growing teeth in the dark. And mine are ready to bite. I drive to the small studio apartment I've been secretly renting for the past month. The space isn't much, but it's mine every paint-splattered surface, every half-finished canvas leaning against the walls. Here, in this sanctuary of color and light, the weight of the evening's confrontation finally hits me. My hands shake as I collapse onto the worn sofa, memories flooding back. The constant dismissals, the subtle undermining, the careful erasure of my existence each memory burns. But instead of crushing me, they fuel something new, something powerful. I pull out my sketchbook, the pages rough beneath my fingers. Each stroke of charcoal feels like an act of defiance. I draw my family's faces as I saw them tonight, mother's mask of control cracking, Sophia's perfect composure slipping. The truth bleeds through in every line. My phone lights up with messages. The first is from Grandma Rose. "I'm proud of you, sweetheart. Come see me tomorrow. There's something you need to know." Then Marcus, "Your portfolio is ready. The art community needs to see this. Ready when you are." Even my old art teacher from high school reaches out. "Heard about tonight. About time. Let me know if you need anything." The support flows in, unexpected but overwhelming. All this time, while Mother and Sophia worked to isolate me, others were watching, waiting, ready to help when I finally found my voice. 2 weeks later, I stand in Marcus's gallery, surrounded by my work. The pieces tell my story: dark, twisted family trees, portraits of smiling faces with shadows for eyes, a series of self-portraits showing a figure emerging from beneath suffocating layers of propriety. "You sure about this?" Marcus asks, adjusting the lighting on my centerpiece, a massive canvas depicting a family dinner scene, where the figures at the table cast shadows that reveal their true natures. "I've never been more sure," I reply, straightening the name card beside the piece. Tomorrow night, the gallery opens. Mother and Sophia will receive their invitations in the morning, unable to ignore this public declaration of truth without raising questions. Later that night, as I'm gathering my things to leave, I notice an old jewelry box tucked behind some supply zone of Grandma Rose's antiques she insisted I take. Something about its weight feels off. When I turn it over, I find a hidden compartment, and inside, a yellowed envelope. My hands tremble as I unfold the letter inside. The first line stops my breath. "My dearest Annie, if you're reading this, you finally found your strength. Now it's time you learned about your true inheritance." The words swim before my eyes as I read on, each sentence revealing a carefully hidden truth that could change everything. In my chest, hope blooms like wildfire. Moonlight spills across my studio floor as I unlock the hidden safe behind my easel. My fingers trace the worn edges of Grandma Rose's dossier, years of meticulous evidence gathering condensed into one devastating weapon. Financial records, personal letters, family documents that Isabel thought she'd destroyed. Every scrap of paper is a bullet in the chamber. The oak tablet Parker family heirloom that Grandma Rose specifically left to me groans under the weight of spread papers. My laptop streams the local news in the background, a constant reminder of the world beyond these walls. A world that's about to learn the truth about the perfect Parker family. Marcus's text lights up my phone. Everything's in place for tomorrow. My hands steady as I sort the documents into precise piles. Evidence of financial manipulation here. Proof of emotional abuse there. Each stack represents a different angle of attack, a calculated strike against the fortress Isabel and Sophia built. I pause at a bank statement from 3 years ago. The numbers blur before my eyes as I remember that day standing alone at my first art show, the empty chairs where my family should have been. "Someone needs to watch the little ones," Mom had said. Now I know she'd been transferring funds that day, systematically draining the account Grandma Rose had set up for my education. The anonymous legal inquiries went out this morning. Rebecca Turner called an hour ago to confirm her support. The pieces are falling into place like brushstrokes on canvas, each one essential to the larger picture. Years of suppressed rage have crystallized into something harder, sharper blade forged in silence, ready to cut through their lies. The charity gala at the Grandview Hotel transforms into a battlefield the moment I step through its gilded doors. Isabel commands the stage like a general, her voice dripping with rehearsed sincerity as she speaks about family loyalty. The Parker name stands for tradition, she declares, each word a carefully aimed arrow. For unity and unwavering support. Sophia circulates through the crowd like a snake, poisoning the water. I catch fragments of her whispers. Always been troubled, never quite fit in. Such a shame, really. But she doesn't see what I see: Marcus Lynn's subtle nod from across the room. Rebecca Turner's phone recording every poisonous word. The growing network of allies positioned throughout the ballroom. The massive screen behind Isabel flickers to life, interrupting her speech. My heart pounds as the video begins to play, the one I spent weeks editing. Evidence appears in stark black and white. Bank statements, altered documents, damning letters. But it's the testimonies that silence the room. Former family members speak directly to the camera, their faces etched with years of similar betrayals. The Parkers nearly destroyed me. Cousin Sarah's voice echoes through the stunned ballroom. They took everything, my inheritance, my dignity, my place in the family, all because I dared to question Isabel's authority. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Isabel's perfect mask cracks. She lunges for the podium, but her words die in her throat as more evidence floods the screen. Sophia's frantic attempts to damage control only draw more attention to their unraveling facade. The community's response is immediate and overwhelming. Marcus steps forward, his presence commanding attention. As a longtime observer of this family's dynamics, he begins, his voice carrying across the now silent room. I can verify every detail of what you're seeing. Rebecca Turner materializes at my side, her phone still recording. The art world has watched the systematic suppression of young talent for too long, she announces. Tonight that changes. The next morning, Grandma Rose's carefully laid plans spring into action. Financial advisors release statements confirming the existence of my secret college fund. Legal experts outline the pattern of financial manipulation. The Urban Arts Gallery downtown transforms into a war room, where my artwork hangs alongside documented proof of years of suppression. Marcus orchestrates the exhibition with military precision. Each piece tells part of the story, a painting of a caged bird paired with a bank statement showing diverted funds, a self-portrait alongside a letter revealing Isabel's orchestrated campaigns to undermine my achievements. The truth bleeds across canvas and paper, impossible to ignore. At the panel discussion, Rebecca leads the charge. Former family employees step forward, their stories collaborating my own. The perfect Parker family portrait shatters under the weight of accumulated evidence. Each revelation drives another nail into the coffin of Isabel's control. As evening settles over the gallery, I find myself drawn to a vintage desk in the corner, another piece of Parker family history, donated years ago. My fingers trace its worn surface, finding a hidden catch in the drawer. It clicks open, revealing a sealed envelope, the paper yellowed with age. The elegant script inside makes my blood run cold. This letter doesn't just confirm what we already knew, it reveals a whole new layer of deception. The college fund wasn't just a secret account. It was part of a larger trust, established with specific conditions. Conditions that, if breached, transfer all control away from Isabel and Sophia. My hands tremble as I read further, uncovering names I never expected to see. The web of lies stretches far beyond my mother and sister, implicating others in ways I never imagined. The truth I thought I knew was just the surface of a much darker reality. The letter burns in my hands like a lit fuse. In the quiet gallery, surrounded by the evidence of my victory, I realize this is far from over. The question isn't whether I've won, it's what happens when the full extent of the Parker family's deceit finally comes to light, and whether any of us will survive the explosion. Mother's voice cuts through the grand ballroom like a blade. If you continue this rebellious behavior, Annie, you leave me no choice. She stands at the head of the mahogany table, her perfectly manicured hands gripping a stack of papers. The entire family network called financial and emotional support will be severed. My heart pounds against my ribs, but I keep my expression neutral. The gathered relatives shift uncomfortably in their chairs, crystal glasses clinking as hands nervously reach for water. Aunt Margaret won't meet my eyes. Uncle James suddenly finds his napkin fascinating. Sophia rises from her chair, the silk of her designer dress rustling. Annie, dear, she says, her voice dripping with false concern. You've always struggled with stability. Remember the dance recital disaster? The failed art show? She circles the table like a shark, each word calculated to draw blood. Our family has traditions, expectations. You've never quite managed to meet them, have you? The old Annie would have shrunk under their words, would have apologized for existing. But I'm not that girl anymore. I catch Grandma Rose's eye across the table. She gives me the slightest nod, and I feel Marcus and Rebecca's steady presence behind my chair. Months of preparation have led to this moment. Speaking of family traditions, I say, my voice steady as I stand, let's talk about a few I've recently uncovered. I pull out my phone and tap the screen. The grand ballroom's projector hums to life, and suddenly the wall behind Mother fills with image-scanned documents. Hidden letters, bank statements, Mother's face drains of color. What is the meaning of the secret college fund Dad left for me before he died? I say, advancing to the next slide. The one you and Sophia diverted into your personal accounts. The art school scholarships you intercepted and declined on my behalf. The trust fund that mysteriously vanished. Gasps ripple through the room. Sophia's perfectly composed mask slips for just a moment, revealing raw panic underneath. But that's not all. I gesture to Rebecca, who wheels in a covered easel. I've been working on a special exhibition. Would you like to see? Mother steps forward, legal documents forgotten in her trembling hands. Annie, stop this nonsense immediately. I pull the cloth away. The portrait silences the room. Mother stands central in the painting, her face a beautiful mask, while shadowy hands extend from her figure, strangling the life from a younger version of me. The technique is flawless, the emotion raw and undeniable. Beside it, I place another piece, the hidden photo albums I discovered that day in the storage room, meticulously documented and annotated with dates and deliberate omissions. This exhibition opens next week at the Urban Arts Gallery, I announced to the stunned room. Along with these, I motion to Marcus, who begins distributing portfolios to key family members. Inside each one, years of documented manipulation, financial fraud, and emotional abuse, all carefully preserved and organized. You ungrateful, Sophia starts, but her words die as journalists begin filing into the ballroom. I recognize faces from the local papers, arts magazines, even a national network crew. I believe you all received invitations to this private preview, I say to the reporters. My family has quite a story to tell. The cameras start rolling as Mother's carefully crafted world crumbles. Relatives who've stayed silent for years suddenly find their voices, stepping forward with their own stories. Marcus presents emails and recorded conversations that make Sophia physically stagger backward. The evidence is irrefutable, the momentum unstoppable. Through it all, I stand my ground, my artist hand steady, my vision clear. Every click of a camera, every scribble of a reporter's pen, every shocked whisper dismantles the prison they built around me. Ladies and gentlemen, I say, facing the growing crowd, let me tell you about the real Parker family tradition of systematic erasure and control. But today, that tradition ends. Mother lunges for the projector cord, but it's too late. Social media is already exploding with images and hashtags. The carefully curated Parker family facade shatters like fine china dropped on marble floors. I meet Sophia's eyes across the chaos. For the first time in my life, I see fear in them, fear of me, of the truth I've unleashed, of the power that was always mine to claim. Behind me, the portrait looms like an avenging angel. I am no longer the invisible daughter, the convenient babysitter, the forgotten artist. I am Annie Parker, and I've just painted my masterpiece in strokes of justice and truth. They wanted me invisible. Instead, I've made myself unforgettable. The following days blur into a whirlwind of legal proceedings and press coverage. Our family's name dominates local headlines, and former employees step forward with their own stories of manipulation. Mother's carefully crafted reputation crumbles as Marcus presents email after damning email to the ethics board. I sit in the packed courtroom, my back straight as the family lawyer presents our evidence. The judge's expression darkens with each new revelation, the doctored financial records, the intercepted opportunities, the systematic gaslighting documented in years of private correspondence. Mother and Sophia huddle with their attorneys, their designer outfits, and perfect makeup, unable to mask their desperation. Each piece of evidence strips away another layer of their control until nothing remains but the ugly truth. In light of the evidence presented, the judge's voice fills the hushed courtroom. Control of the college fund and associated family assets will be immediately transferred to the designated trustees. She fixes Mother with a steel gaze. Furthermore, this court strongly recommends a criminal investigation into the financial irregularities uncovered during these proceedings. The gavel strikes like thunder, sealing my victory, but my hands tremble as I pack up my files in the now empty courtroom. Something feels unfinished. Later that evening, I sit alone in my new office at the Urban Arts Gallery, surrounded by the artwork that helped set me free. The final court documents wait for my signature, but something catches my eye, a sealed envelope tucked between the pages, marked with an unfamiliar insignia. My fingers trace the strange symbol as a chill runs down my spine. Inside, a single note reads, "The Parkers aren't the only family with secrets to hide. Choose carefully, Annie." I stare at the cryptic message as shadows lengthen across my desk. Perhaps this victory isn't really the end. Perhaps it's just the beginning. Sunlight streams through the tall windows of the San Francisco Institute of Fine Arts, casting long shadows across my new workspace. My fingers tremble slightly as I unpack my supplies. Brushes still pristine, tubes of paint waiting to release their vibrant secrets. Around me, the buzz of creative energy fills the studio as other students settle into their spaces. Their conversations, a melody of artistic dreams and determined spirits. Welcome home, I whisper to myself, running my hand along the smooth wooden easel. The words feel right in my mouth, solid and true. Unlike the hollow praise and false warmth of the Parker household, this space radiates authenticity. My canvases lean against the wall, blank but brimming with possibility. Each one represents a story waiting to be told, a truth demanding to be shared. The paint-splattered floor beneath my feet bears the marks of countless artists who came before me. Their legacy of creative courage seeps up through my worn boots, strengthening my resolve. This is where I belong, not shrinking in the shadows of Sophia's achievements or Elena's performances, but standing tall in my own light. I take a deep breath and begin setting up my first piece. The empty canvas towers before me, but I'm no longer intimidated by blank spaces. I've lived in them too long, carved out my existence in the margins of other people's stories. Now it's time to fill them with my own bold strokes, my own vivid colors. Later that afternoon, I find myself back in that familiar storage room. But this time, I'm not searching for Christmas decorations or hidden family secrets. I'm here with purpose, canvas in hand. The space feels different now, less suffocating, more like a cocoon I've finally broken free from. My latest piece, Reclaimed Identity, finds its home on the wall where Mom once hung Sophia's valedictorian photos. The self-portrait stares back at me with unflinching honesty. Broad brushstrokes and deep crimsons, and burning golds capture a woman emerging from darkness into light. No more muted tones, no more careful curves designed to take up less space. This painting screams with the voice I was never allowed to use. The sun sets over San Francisco as I make my way to the Institute's rooftop terrace. The city sprawls below, a tapestry of lights and possibilities. My leather-bound journal rests heavy in my lap as I begin to write, each word a testament to the journey that brought me here. The first time I realized I was invisible, I thought it was my fault. I write, the pen scratching against paper. I tried to fold myself smaller, speak softer, need less. But invisibility isn't a natural state. It's something that was done to me, one careful erasure at a time. The words flow faster now, years of silent pain finding their voice. I document every dismissal, every, not now, Annie, every time my achievements were swept aside to make room for my sister's spotlight. But this isn't just a catalog of hurts. It's a map of survival, a blueprint of how I built myself back up from the ground they scorched. Grandma Rose's cafe gathering feels worlds away from the sterile perfection of Parker family events. Afternoon light filters through Victorian windows, casting warm patterns across the faces of my chosen family. Marcus, my mentor from the gallery, raises his coffee cup in a toast while Rebecca, who gave me my first show, beams from across the table. To Annie, Grandma Rose announces, her voice strong and clear, who taught us all that the most beautiful art comes from breaking free. The words wrap around me like an embrace, genuine and warm. These people, the passionate painters, dedicated sculptors, and fierce advocates who've become my tribe, they see me, really see me. Not as the convenient babysitter or the reliable helper, but as an artist, a fighter, a whole person worthy of celebration. Looking around the table at their smiling faces, I realize something profound. True family isn't about sharing blood or a last name. It's about sharing understanding, support, and the courage to be authentically yourself. The late afternoon sun bathes my downtown studio in golden light as I work with Sarah, my newest student. Her hands shake slightly as she holds the brush, just like mine used to. I recognize the fear in her eyes, the same fear I carried for so long. Your family doesn't understand why you paint, I say softly, watching her add hesitant strokes to her canvas. It's not a question. I've learned to recognize the signs. The way she apologizes for taking up space. How she tries to make herself smaller. They say it's a waste of time, she whispers, brush pausing mid-stroke, that I should focus on something practical, something. Something that makes you disappear? I finish, and her eyes meet mine, wide with recognition. I guide her hand back to the canvas, helping her press down with more confidence. Paint louder, I tell her. Make them hear your colors. As the sun sets behind the city skyline, Sarah's painting begins to take shape, a riot of bold colors breaking free from careful constraints. In her determined expression, I see my own journey reflected. The cycle of silence ends here, one brave brushstroke at a time.
I never imagined my own husband would drain our accounts and leave me for another woman, yet here I stand in Bell and Bloom staring at my phone as my world crumbles. The vintage lamps cast a warm glow over the crystal jewelry displays I'd spent hours arranging, making everything look deceptively normal. My hands shake as I read Daniel's text again. Sorry, but I can't do this anymore. I've moved in with Sophia. I've taken what I need from our accounts. Don't try to contact me. Asterisk. The boutique suddenly feels too small, the air too thick. I grip the edge of the mahogany display case, my knuckles white against the polished wood. The delicate chime of the door signals a customer, but I can't look up, can't move, can't breathe. Just a moment, I manage to say, my voice steadier than I feel. The signs have been there for months, each one a quiet warning I chose to ignore. My mind drifts back to that night 3 weeks ago. Daniel came home after midnight, his collar askew, smelling of unfamiliar perfume. When I asked about his late meeting, his eyes darted away, focusing on anything but me. Client dinner ran long, he'd muttered, brushing past me toward the shower. You shouldn't have waited up. I remember standing in our bedroom, listening to the water run, feeling the distance between us stretch like a physical thing. That was the night I started keeping track. The next day, I found the first piece of evidence. I was organizing receipts in my back office when I discovered the hotel bill from the Renaissance downtown, dated during what was supposed to be his business trip to Chicago. My hands trembled as I slipped it into my desk drawer, starting a collection I prayed I'd never need. Then came the evening at Costello's last week, our favorite restaurant where we'd celebrated every anniversary for the past 15 years. I'd excused myself to the bathroom and taken the long way back, only to freeze at the sound of Daniel's voice from the bar. Everything's arranged, he'd said, his tone hushed and intimate. She won't know until it's done. Yes, I promise. This time, next week. I'd stood there, hidden behind a pillar, my heart pounding as his words confirmed every suspicion. That night, I'd laid awake beside him, studying his profile in the darkness, wondering when my husband had become a stranger. The crystal bracelet in my hands catches the light, sending prisms dancing across the walls. I set it down carefully, methodically, like I haven't just had my life upended. Like I'm not mentally calculating how much he's stolen from our joint accounts. Like I'm not already planning my next move. A customer clears her throat politely, and I finally look up. She's admiring a display of vintage brooches, unaware that she's witnessing the moment my marriage officially ends. I straighten my spine, smooth my blazer, and step forward with a practiced smile. Welcome to Bell and Bloom, I say, as if I haven't just been betrayed by the man I've spent 15 years building a life with. How can I help you today? The next few hours pass in a blur of sales and small talk. I wrap purchases in tissue paper, swipe credit cards, and make easy conversation while my mind works furiously behind the calm facade. Each interaction feels surreal, like I'm watching myself perform in a play while the real me calculates exactly how to dismantle the life Daniel thinks he's escaping. At closing time, I move through my routine with deliberate precision. Each display case is checked twice, every piece of jewelry secured in the safe. I count the day's receipts, update the ledger, and set the security system with steady hands that belie the storm inside me. The neon sign flickers off, casting long shadows across the empty street. My phone feels heavy in my hand, as I dial a number I've had saved for months, just in case. The number for Marcus Carter, the city's most ruthless divorce attorney. Marcus Carter's office, a voice answers. This is Evelyn Montgomery, I say, my voice clear and steady. I need to speak with Marcus about initiating proceedings against my husband. I have the evidence we discussed. There's a brief pause. Of course, Mrs. Montgomery. Marcus has been expecting your call. He mentioned you've been gathering documentation? Yes, I reply, my hand resting on my desk drawer where months of evidence waits. Everything's ready. I end the call and look up at my reflection in the boutique window. Behind me, a framed photo of Daniel and me at last year's charity gala catches my eye. We're smiling, his arm around my waist, looking every bit the perfect couple, the perfect lie. The woman in that photo looks naive, trusting, vulnerable. But the woman staring back at me from the window? She's someone else entirely. Someone Daniel never saw coming. I turn away from the photo, my jaw set. Daniel thinks he's orchestrated the perfect escape, leaving me with nothing but memories and empty accounts. But he's forgotten one crucial detail. I've spent the last 15 years building not just a marriage, but an empire. And I've learned that the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served meticulously planned, perfectly timed, and with absolutely no mercy. He has no idea what's coming. The numbers don't lie. I spread the documents across my mahogany desk in Bell & Bloom's back office, each piece of paper another nail in the coffin of my marriage. The vintage lamp casts a warm glow over bank statements, credit card records, and screenshots of Daniel's message evidence I've gathered meticulously over the past 3 months. My hands steady as I cross-reference the transactions. There it is. A $5,000 withdrawal from our joint account on the day he claimed to be in Chicago. The hotel receipt from the Renaissance downtown sits beside it, along with charges from Tiffany and Company and La Perla purchases that never made their way to our home. A birthday gift for Sophia, perhaps? The thought sends bile rising in my throat. "Oh, Daniel," I whisper, tracing a finger over his signature on a lease agreement I discovered just yesterday. "You really thought you covered your tracks." The lease tells its own story. A luxury apartment downtown, prepaid for 6 months using funds from our joint investment account. The same account we'd built together for 15 years, dreaming of early retirement. Now it's funding his new life with her. My phone buzzes a text from Julia, Daniel's sister. "Need to talk. It's important. Can I stop by? Asterisk." I hesitate only a moment before responding, "Come to the boutique. Back entrance. Asterisk." 20 minutes later, Julia's sharp knock echoes through the quiet store. She enters with a thick manila envelope clutched to her chest, her face drawn with worry and something else determination. "I should have told you sooner," she says, settling into the leather chair across from my desk. But I needed to be sure. The envelope hits my desk with a dull thud. Inside, I find more evidence. Photos of Daniel and Sophia at various restaurants, timestamped during his supposed business trips. Bank statements showing transfers to an account I've never seen. Emails between them discussing their future plans that deliberately exclude me. "Margaret called me this morning," Julia says, her voice tight. "She's on the warpath." As if on cue, my phone rings. Margaret's name flashes on the screen, and I answer on speaker, letting Julia witness what we both know is coming. "How dare you!" Margaret's voice crackles with fury. "Daniel told me everything, how you've been monitoring his accounts, tracking his movements. You're destroying his life." I meet Julia's eyes across the desk, and something shifts inside me. "No, Margaret. Daniel destroyed his own life when he decided to steal from me and run off with another woman." "You never deserved him," she hisses. "Sophia understands him in ways you never could." "Sophia understands his credit cards, you mean?" The words slip out before I can stop them, sharp and precise as a surgeon's scalpel. The line goes dead. Julia lets out a low whistle. "Well, that bridge is thoroughly burned." I'm already reaching for my phone again, this time dialing the credit card company. The representative's voice is crisp and professional as I report the fraudulent charges, providing dates and transaction numbers with mechanical precision. Within minutes, Daniel's cards are canceled, his travel plans effectively grounded. "Is it wrong that I hope he's at the airport when he discovers the cards don't work?" Julia asks, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. Before I can answer, my email notification pings. The sender is unfamiliar, whistleblower@protonmail.com. The subject line makes my breath catch. What Daniel Montgomery is really hiding. I click open the email, Julia leaning forward to read over my shoulder. The message is brief, but its implications send a chill down my spine. The money trail doesn't end with Sophia. Check the offshore accounts. I have proof of everything. Asterisk. Julia's sharp intake of breath mirrors my own thoughts. Whatever Daniel's hiding, it's bigger than an affair. And someone out there knows exactly what it is. I close the email and look up at my reflection in the darkened window. The woman staring back at me isn't the same person who walked into this office this morning. She's harder now, sharper, ready. So, Julia says quietly, what's our next move? I gather the documents into neat piles, each stack a weapon in my growing arsenal. Now? Now we find out what else your brother's been hiding. The vintage clock on my wall ticks steadily forward, marking time in a world that shifted on its axis. But for the first time since Daniel's betrayal, I feel the corners of my mouth turning up in something that's not quite a smile. Let him think he's won. Let him believe I'm broken. He has no idea what's coming. The airport terminal gleams under fluorescent lights as I watch Daniel's world unravel through my phone screen. Live social media feeds flood with videos of his meltdown at the check-in counter, his designer suit doing nothing to mask the desperation in his stance. Sophia hovers beside him, her manicured nails drumming against her leather handbag in an anxious rhythm. I'm sorry, sir, the airline agent says, her voice carrying across the crowded terminal. But these cards have been reported for fraudulent activity. I cannot process your tickets. Daniel's face flushes deep crimson. This is ridiculous. I demand to speak to your supervisor. His voice cracks on the last word, betraying the facade of control he's desperately trying to maintain. I lower my phone, a calm settling over me as I stand in the familiar comfort of Bell and Bloom. The vintage lamps cast their warm glow over the crystal displays, grounding me in the empire I've built. My phone buzzes with an incoming call from Marcus. Evelyn, he says when I answer, the fraud report has been processed across all accounts. He won't be able to access any of the funds. Good. I move toward my office, where stacks of evidence await our next move. What about the offshore transfers? Already frozen, he's not as clever as he thinks. The security footage from the airport continues to stream across social media. Sophia's perfectly curated image crumbles as she paces in tight circles, mascara smudging beneath her eyes. The comments are ruthless. Karma in action, and watch the mistress panic when the money runs dry. I settle into my leather chair, surrounded by the photographs and mementos I've collected over 15 years of marriage. Each one now feels like a piece of evidence, telling the story of a betrayal I should have seen coming. But that's not what matters anymore. What matters is what comes next. Julia arrives just after closing, her heels clicking against the hardwood floors. Daniel's sister carries a thick manila envelope, her face set with determination I recognize from my own mirror. I found these in Mother's study, she says, spreading documents across my desk. Bank statements, emails, photos, a paper trail of Daniel's deception that stretches back further than even I suspected. He's been planning this for months, Evelyn. Using company funds to set up accounts in Sophia's name. I study each piece of evidence, methodically adding them to my growing collection. How did Margaret react when you told her? Julia's laugh is bitter. She's still processing. But finding out he's been embezzling from the family foundation, that's not something even she can ignore. My phone lights up with another notification. A video from the airport shows Daniel attempting to use his corporate card, only to have it declined. The crowd of onlookers has grown, phones raised to capture every moment of his humiliation. This is what he never understood about me. I don't need grand gestures or public revenge. I simply need to step back and let his own actions destroy everything he's built. Miss Montgomery? Sarah, my assistant, appears in the doorway. Michael is here. He says it's urgent. I share a look with Julia. Michael, Daniel's oldest friend and confidant, has chosen an interesting time to make an appearance. Send him in. Michael enters like a man walking to his own execution, his usual confident swagger replaced by hesitant step. The dim evening light from the windows casts shadows across his face, highlighting the dark circles under his eyes. Evelyn, I need to explain. I hold up a hand, silencing him. Sit down, Michael. I retrieve a folder from my desk drawer, one I've been saving for exactly this moment. Before you continue, I'd like you to look at something. The photos land on the desk between us. Daniel and Michael at the Renaissance Hotel, the same night Daniel claimed to be in Chicago. The timestamp matches perfectly with the hotel receipt I'd found weeks ago. Michael's face drains of color. You knew, I say, my voice steady. You helped him plan all of this. I didn't. He swallows hard, his eyes darting between me and Julia. He said it would be clean, quick, that you'd never even know until it was done. And you believed him? Julia's voice drips with disdain. You really thought our brother could pull this off without leaving a trail? Michael stumbles out shortly after, leaving the weight of his confession hanging in the air. Julia and I barely have time to process before my phone's up with a news alert. The local station's live stream shows Margaret, Daniel's mother, standing at a podium in the community center where she's served as board chair for 20 years. Her hands grip the edges of the podium, knuckles white against the dark wood. As a mother, admitting your child's failures is perhaps the hardest thing you'll ever do. Her voice wavers but doesn't break. But as chair of this foundation, I have a responsibility to address the financial irregularities we've discovered. I watch the screen, barely breathing, as Margaret methodically outlines every manipulation, every lie, every betrayal. The woman who once defended Daniel against any criticism now stands as his most damning accuser. When the broadcast ends, I find myself alone in my office. The weight of everything, the betrayal, the evidence, the victories, both small and large, suddenly crashes over me. My hands shake as I open my desk drawer, pulling out the leather-bound journal I started the night I found that first hotel receipt. Tears blur my vision as I write, not of pain or loss, but of release. Each word feels like stepping out of a cage I didn't know I was in. The boutique is silent around me, but I feel the presence of every person who stood by me. Julia, Marcus, my loyal staff, and now, surprisingly, Margaret. A soft knock at the door makes me look up. Sarah enters with a USB drive in her hand. This just came from IT. They recovered the audio from Daniel's office computer. My heart stutters as I take the drive. This is it, the final piece we've been waiting for. I plug it in with steady hands, and Daniel's voice fills the room, casual and cruel as he details his plans to Sophia. Every transfer, every lie, every step of his carefully planned escape caught in his own words. Send this to Marcus, I tell Sarah, already reaching for my phone. It's time to gather everyone for what comes next. The evidence is assembled, the players are in position, and Daniel's carefully constructed facade is about to shatter completely. Tonight, in the quiet of Bell and Bloom, surrounded by the empire I built and the truth I've uncovered, I feel something shift inside me. The woman Daniel tried to leave powerless and alone is gone. In her place stands someone stronger, someone who knows exactly how to dismantle the house of lies he's built. And tomorrow we begin. Marcus Carter's office smells of leather and authority. I spread the documents across his mahogany desk, bank statements, text messages, hotel receipts, piece of evidence meticulously organized in chronological order. My hands are steady as I lay out the final photo taken by my private investigator. Daniel and Sophia entering the Renaissance Hotel last Thursday, his hand possessively on her lower back. File everything, I tell Marcus. I want the accounts frozen by noon. He studies the evidence, his expression hardening. This is excellent work, Evelyn. Daniel won't know what hit him. I check my watch. 8:47 a.m. By now, Daniel should be walking into his morning meeting, unaware that his world is about to implode. My phone buzzes. A news alert. I click the link, and there he is, standing at a podium in the downtown Marriott's conference room. His tie is crooked, his usual polish absent as he addresses the hastily gathered press. These allegations are completely false, he's saying, but his voice wavers. My wife Isis attempting to destroy my reputation out of spite. I've done nothing wrong. Julia sends me a text. Asterisk. He's drowning. Asterisk. I watch as a reporter raises her hand. Mr. Montgomery, can you explain the series of large withdrawals from your joint accounts last week? And your stay at the Renaissance Hotel with Miss Parker while you were supposedly in Chicago? Daniel's face flushes. He tugs at his collar, eyes darting. Those withdrawals were legitimate business expenses, and 2 never stayed at the Renaissance. That's absurd. Another text from Julia. Uploading the evidence now. Asterisk. I switch to Twitter and watch as number exposed Daniel starts trending. Hotel receipts, bank statements, photos, everything we've gathered over months appears in a coordinated digital avalanche. The comment sections explode. Daniel's carefully constructed image crumbles in real time. Back at Bell and Bloom, Julia has transformed my office into a command center. She sits at my desk, coordinating with our growing coalition of allies. 3 laptops display different social media feeds while she rapidly types on her phone. Claire from accounting just sent over 5 years of irregular expense reports, Julia says, not looking up. And Thomas is ready to go public about the Chicago deal. The door chimes and Sarah Martinez, Daniel's former executive assistant, walks in. Her face is set with determination as she places a USB drive on my desk. "Everything I documented over the last 2 years," she says. "The altered meeting minutes, the business dinners that never happened, it's all here." "Thank you, Sarah." I squeeze her hand. "I know this isn't easy." "He deserves what's coming," she replies firmly. "We all saw who he really was. We just didn't want to believe it." My phone rings. It's Margaret, Daniel's mother. I let it go to voicemail. She's chosen her side, and I have more important matters to handle. Bell and Bloom, good morning. I answer the boutique's line, my voice perfectly steady. "Evelyn, it's Rachel Chen from the Business Association. We need to discuss Daniel's position on the board. Are you still attending tonight's event?" "Wouldn't miss it," I reply, a smile in my voice. "I have some things to share with the community." The afternoon passes in a blur of legal filings and strategic moves. I help customers at the boutique, wrap delicate purchases in tissue paper, all while my phone lights up with notifications. Daniel's desperate attempts to control the narrative backfire spectacularly. Each statement he makes is immediately contradicted by evidence we release, precision-timed for maximum impact. More allies arrive throughout the day. James from the investment firm, bearing proof of Daniel's creative accounting. Lisa from the country club, with screenshots of his indiscreet messages to Sophia. Even Peter, Daniel's college roommate, appears with stories he can no longer keep quiet. At 6, I lock up the boutique and head to the Business Association event. The grand ballroom of the Civic Center buzzes with tension. I spot Daniel across the room, huddled with his remaining allies. Their circle has grown noticeably smaller. State Senator Wilson approaches me, his handshake firm. "Evelyn, I believe we need to have a discussion about the Urban Development Committee, in light of recent revelations." "Revelations?" I meet his gaze steadily. "Of course, Senator. I think you'll find I have some valuable insights to share." The evening unfolds exactly as planned. One by one, Daniel's business associates distance themselves. I watch from across the room as he becomes increasingly isolated, his phone clutched like a lifeline. When he takes the stage to give his scheduled remarks, his voice trembles. "I want to address the accusations," he begins. But a murmur runs through the crowd as phones light up with notifications. Right on schedule. A video plays on hundreds of screens. Daniel, in his office, recorded 3 months ago, outlining his entire scheme to Sophia. Asterisk. Evelyn won't know what hit her. Asterisk, his recorded voice says. Asterisk. Once the accounts are emptied. Asterisk. The crowd's reaction is immediate. Daniel freezes on stage, his face ashen as he recognizes his own words. In the back of the room, I watch as his last remaining supporters slip quietly away. I step into the ladies' room, checking my lipstick in the mirror. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. "Final piece of evidence received. Ready when you are. Asterisk." I smile at my reflection, remembering the naive woman I was just months ago. She's gone now, replaced by someone stronger. Someone Daniel never saw coming. The night isn't over. In my purse, a sealed envelope contains the evidence I've saved for last, the secret that will destroy not just Daniel's reputation, but his entire carefully constructed world. He has no idea it exists, but he's about to find out. My hands don't shake as I watch Daniel step up to the podium. The hotel ballroom buzzes with whispers and camera flashes, reporters leaning forward in their seats like vultures awaiting carrion. Sophia clutches his arm, her red lacquered nails digging into his suit jacket. They're trying so hard to look united, controlled. But I see the sweat beating at Daniel's temples, the slight tremor in his voice as he begins his rehearsed speech. "The allegations against me are completely false," he declares, jaw tight. "My wife's vindictive campaign." A reporter from the Chronicle cuts in. "Mr. Montgomery, can you explain the hotel receipts showing you were in town during your supposed Chicago business trip?" Another voice rises. "What about the wire transfers to offshore accounts?" The questions come rapid fire now, each one striking like arrows. Daniel's face reddens as he fumbles through denials. Beside him, Sophia's perfectly arranged features begin to crack. When she reaches for the microphone, her hand trembles. From my seat in the back row, I watch their carefully constructed facade crumble in real time. My phone vibrates another Twitter notification. The hashtag number Montgomery scandal is trending, filled with clips of Daniel's increasingly desperate responses. The public isn't buying what he's selling anymore. Later that afternoon, I sit in the dimly lit conference room of Carter and Associates, watching the surveillance footage from the press conference play on repeat. Marcus Carter's lips curve into a predatory smile as he turns to face me. "They're desperate," he says, shuffling through a stack of documents. "Their legal team just filed a countersuit claiming defamation, and their PR firm is pushing sponsored posts calling you unstable." I lean back in my chair, unfazed. Let them waste their money. We have everything we need. Marcus nods, patting the thick folder before him. Every bank statement, every hotel receipt, every text message, and that audio recording. His smile widens. "It's beautiful, Evelyn. Tomorrow's hearing will be a bloodbath." The courtroom is packed the next morning. I feel the weight of every eye as I take my seat at the plaintiff's table. Daniel and Sophia sit across the aisle, their new legal team clustered around them like a shield. The judge enters, and the room falls silent. What happens next is like watching a masterclass in legal devastation. Marcus presents our evidence with surgical precision. Each exhibit hits its mark: the financial records showing systematic theft, the text messages revealing their planned escape, the damning audio of Daniel confessing everything to Sophia at Costello's bar. I keep my expression neutral, but inside, I savor every flinch, every bead of sweat rolling down Daniel's neck. When Marcus plays the recording, Sophia's face goes ash white. The jury's expressions shift from interest to disgust as Daniel's voice fills the courtroom. Asterisk. Everything's arranged. Once I clean out the accounts, you'll have nothing. No way to fight back. Asterisk. The judge's gavel comes down like thunder. Assets frozen. Emergency injunction granted. As security escorts a shouting Daniel from the courtroom, I finally allow myself a small smile. But I'm not done yet. That evening, I stand before a packed community forum, the same evidence displayed on screens behind me. My voice carries clearly through the room as I detail every betrayal, every calculated move Daniel and Sophia made. The audience sits in stunned silence, watching the foundation of Daniel's reputation dissolve. He didn't just betray our marriage. I tell them, my tone steady. He betrayed every person in this room who trusted him with their investments, their futures. Photographs flash behind me: Daniel at charity galas, accepting community leadership awards, all while systematically draining our accounts and his clients' funds. Each image now serves as evidence of his hypocrisy. The final blow comes when the judge issues her ruling the next day. The courtroom falls silent as she speaks, her words precise and cutting. The court finds overwhelming evidence of systematic fraud and financial exploitation. All assets held by Daniel Montgomery are hereby frozen. Full restitution to Mrs. Montgomery and affected parties is ordered, effective immediately. The gavel strikes. In that moment, 15 years of manipulation and betrayal crystallize into perfect justice. As video of the verdict spreads across social media, I stand outside the courthouse, surrounded by supporters and cameras. Daniel's empire of lies crumbles in real time, each share and retweet another nail in his coffin. The ripples spread quickly. Within hours, Daniel's former business partners issue public statements distancing themselves. His country club membership is revoked. The charity boards he sat on quietly remove his name from their websites. Meanwhile, Bell and Bloom's social media followers triple, with messages of support flooding my inbox. Local news stations request interviews, framing me as a symbol of resilience against financial abuse. A week later, Bell and Bloom hosts a private event, a celebration of new beginnings. The boutique sparkles with extra lighting I've installed, crystal glasses catching the glow. Community leaders, loyal customers, and friends fill the space, their chatter creating a warm hum of victory. Julia, Daniel's sister, approaches me with tears in her eyes. "You did what none of us could," she says, squeezing my hand. "You exposed him for what he really is." The mayor steps forward to make a toast, raising her glass. "To Evelyn Montgomery," she announces, "who showed us all that justice isn't just a word, it's an action." As applause fills the boutique, I feel the weight of the past months lifting. This is more than revenge. It's redemption, revolution, rebirth. But later, as the last guests leave, and I begin closing up, an envelope slides under the door. Inside, a single sheet of paper bears a cryptic message Asterisk. There's more to Daniel's past than you know. This isn't over. Asterisk. I tuck the note into my desk drawer, a slight smile playing at my lips. Perhaps the hunt isn't quite finished after all. Morning light streams through Bell and Bloom's newly installed floor-to-ceiling windows, casting prismatic rainbows across our expanded showroom floor. I pause at the entrance, taking in the quiet moment before we open. The boutique has transformed as much as I have gone, are the cramped aisles and dim lighting, replaced by open spaces and crystal chandeliers that make every piece sparkle. "Morning, Evelyn," Sarah calls out, emerging from the back room with fresh inventory. She's one of 3 new hires I've brought on to handle our growing customer base. The trunk show pieces just arrived from Paris. I smile, remembering a time when international shipping fees would have made me break into a cold sweat. Perfect timing. Let's set up the preview area for tomorrow's event. The morning unfolds in a whirlwind of activity. I move through the store with purpose, greeting regular customers by name, offering styling advice, and coordinating with my team. Every interaction flows naturally, unmarred by the shadows of past betrayals. The confidence in my voice, the straightness of my spine, these aren't masks I wear anymore. They're simply who I am. My phone buzzes with a message from Marcus, my attorney. Another successful settlement from one of Daniel's hidden accounts. I close the notification without opening it. Those victories, while sweet, no longer define my days. Standing at the vintage jewelry counter, the same spot where I received Daniel's goodbye text over a year ago, I'm struck by how different everything feels. The mahogany display case still gleams, but now it showcases pieces I've personally curated from artisans across Europe. The walls, once bare, feature local artwork and inspirational quotes that remind me of how far I've come. "Miss Montgomery?" A tentative voice pulls me from my thoughts. I turn to find a young woman, perhaps early 30s, clutching her purse like a lifeline. I recognize that look in her eyes. I used to see it in my mirror. "Isabella, right? Please call me Evelyn." I gesture toward my office. "Would you like some tea?" She nods, following me to the private consultation area I've created for moments exactly like this. The space is warm and inviting, with comfortable chairs and soft lighting. I close the door, giving us privacy from the bustling showroom. "I can't believe you're actually meeting with me," Isabella says, perching on the edge of her seat. "After reading about your story in Business Weekly, you realize you're not alone." I finish gently, pouring us both cups of Earl Grey. "Tell me what's happening." For the next hour, Isabella shares her story, a familiar tale of gaslighting and financial manipulation by her business partner. I listen, offering practical advice when needed, but mostly giving her the space to be heard. When she mentions gathering evidence, I share my own experience with documentation and legal preparation. "I thought I was crazy for keeping screenshots," she admits, wiping away tears. "You're not crazy," I say firmly. "You're smart, and you're stronger than you know." The boutique transforms as evening approaches, fairy lights twinkling to life as my team prepares for our annual community gathering. What started as a small celebration has grown into something magical. The space fills with familiar faces, loyal customers who stood by me, fellow business owners who offered support, even former critics who've become allies. Julia, Daniel's sister, arrives early to help arrange the catering. She catches my eye and grins, both of us remembering how she showed up at my door with a box of damning evidence against her own brother. Now she's my partner in the coastal expansion project. "Remember when you thought you'd have to sell this place?" she asks, arranging fresh flowers in vintage vases. I laugh, the sound easy and genuine. Now we're opening 3 more. Margaret's entrance creates a ripple of warm greetings. Daniel's mother has become an unexpected cornerstone of our community, her own journey of breaking free from manipulation inspiring others. She makes her way through the crowd, stopping to hug Isabella, who stayed to join the celebration. To Evelyn, Margaret raises her glass later in the evening, her voice carrying across the room. Who showed us all that the end of one story is just the beginning of a better one? The cheers and clinking glasses fill the space with joy, but it's the conversations that follow that matter most. Women sharing their own stories of triumph, offering support to those still finding their way, building connections that will last beyond this evening. Later, I stand on the boutique's newly added balcony, watching the sunset paint the city in shades of possibility. My journal rests open on the small table beside me, its pages filled with plans for our upcoming expansion to the coast. A gentle breeze carries the scent of blooming jasmine from the rooftop garden, another dream realized. The woman I was a year ago would never have imagined this moment. She was too busy surviving to envision thriving. But standing here now, I understand that freedom isn't just about escaping what holds you back. It's about creating something new, something entirely yours. I close my journal and take one last look at the cityscape before heading inside. Tomorrow brings new challenges, new opportunities, new chances to help others find their own path to freedom. And I'm ready for all of it.